see you move like that. Like what? Like that. Let me see you move like that. Just like that.
So today, Ed and I will be taking you through what we have termed back to school. So this is Ed Cellier, one of our chief strategists at dunnhumby Tesco Media, and my name is Uche Ofili. And what we believe today we're presenting are the key success factors to a retail media strategy. This will help you with your implementational planning and activation within the Tesco ecosystem. Why have we chosen back to school? So Ed and I have this in common, as I'm sure many of you do in the crowd. But we've recently gone through the rigmarole of getting the kids back to school, the late lunches, the lunchbox packing, the even later nights or earlier mornings. And the rigmarole around that allows us to tap into key events within the calendar. We believe that these key events, seasonal events, alongside your continued marketing strategies, allow you to build your brand further within Tesco. Thank you. So it's a timely theme, especially as omni-channel marketing and media benefits brand, shopper, performance, and indeed the retailer. So lots of noise out there around what retail media means. We're here maybe to simplify that experience, and we believe that most of you as brand planners and strategists are doing this already. So the noises are extremely loud, but what we believe is this is more of a natural evolution as opposed to a revolution. So just scaling things back a little bit and taking it back to the inception. So the Tesco Clubcard was born out of dunnhumby in 1995. We partnered with Tesco then. 5 years later, website. Let's move all the way through to where we are now, looking at some of the partnerships, the third-party partnerships that we've established with some of the key players within the media environment. We have Citrus Ads partner, of course. We have our Meta partnership where you can take your audiences, ingest them into the Meta ecosystem, and then talk to Clubcard users within that environment. We recently announced a deal with Trade Desk, and of course we have our partnership with the 3 largest TV houses in the industry. That's Sky, ITV, and Channel 4. So, of course, our bread and butter is the in-store environment. That's where we cut our teeth, and that's where we built our foundations, right? With 9 million weekly visitors to store, we believe that the incremental opportunity presents itself through the digitization of the connected store. So, when you overlay your online buying mechanics onto that in-store experience, what was point of sale becomes point of sale plus. Your ability to speak to customers in both the physical and digital ecosystems. So, with that being said, we believe that we can shape what Britain buys. We have 21 million Clubcard holders. That's 21 million households. Just for perspective, there are 28 million households in the UK. So we are nationally representative. We have just under 3,000 physical stores and a 36% share of the online grocery market. So we believe that we can shape what Bradford buys, what Burnley buys, and indeed help you shape what your brands and customers are looking for. So when we talk about shaping what Britain buys, it falls into 3 buckets: geography, diversity, and of course community. From a geography perspective, we believe that some retailers align themselves a little bit better to maybe the north of the nation or north of the country, some in the southeast. We believe that we are nationally representative with a footprint in all areas of the country. We have a store in the Shetland Islands, which is closer to Norway than it is to Edinburgh. From a diversity perspective, our insights, our granular insights, allow us to talk to customers around culture, religion, ethnicity, and indeed religion. I've said religion again. We'll talk twice about religion, thank you. When we talk about community, of course, Britain is built off of community, right? So we believe that we have the ability to tap into communities and speak to them in a language in which they're receptive. So let's think about this. We have more fitness enthusiasts that shop at Tesco than actually attend all the gyms combined in the UK. Massive reach. We have another community we could speak about, our pet owners, active pet owners. We have more active pet owners within the ecosystem that go to pets at home. Again, a huge opportunity for brands to tap into those communities and speak to them in a language in which they're receptive. So, of course, that aggregate view of society is essential. However, we believe that the richness of our data allows us to speak to people at a granular level and understand our customers at a granular level. So we can tell you who's doing what they bought, how frequently they bought it, what device did they use. But more importantly, as marketeers, we can tell you what creates that cut through. What device do they engage on? How are they inspired? And how do we go about speaking to them in that language? So, in keeping with today's theme, what we'll do is we'll lift the lid on the lunchbox and we'll expose to you what we believe to be the 3 key ingredients for success within retail media.
Good morning, everyone. An absolute privilege to be here, see your faces, and probably the most exciting space to be if you're a marketer, brand strategist, media planner at current stage of our marketing ecosystem development. It all starts with the customer, and we believe that we have the knowledge of our customers, as Uche said, at an aggregate and at a deeply personal level. And the Clubcard offers kind of a window into the soul of the UK. We know what is shaping purchase journeys, we know what's shaping attitudes, beliefs, and behaviours. And it's really about bringing that quantitative data to life through our qualitative research as well, that humanises all of that. So our first ingredient is all about insight. And it's no surprise at the moment to anybody in this room that the average basket price is inflated. We're in a really highly inflationary period of customer times, and it's financially turbulent for many houses up and down the country. But across the back-to-school period, we've treated back-to-school through July, August, and September. You might think of it as just the first week back, but in reality, it's much longer than that, because the mindset of a parent when they've got children at home is, how do I keep them entertained? And there's kind of a holy trinity in this space for parents that are trying to balance their budgets and justify the price premium that they're paying for brands. So things like value. Behaviourally, we're seeing deals, related searches and offers going up year on year quite drastically on back to school. And similarly, the one-stop shop that Tesco offers around things like lunchboxes, crayons, school uniform, again, across the category, we're seeing increases in behaviours there. And then lastly, when people are back into school in September, parents need to reduce the cognitive load, and it's all about ease and understanding how quickly and easily they can make their lives more habitual as they take their children back to school. We also know how baskets are being curated and fulfilled over time. And of course, we've got lots of performance marketing specialists in the room. They will know that the mindset when you go online to Tesco.com or any other marketplace is that I'm thinking category, I'm thinking product. It's very rare that they're searching for a specific brand. So we're seeing that the majority, 3 in 4 of basket ads are coming from either a search, category search, or a buy it again carousel, or buying from their usuals or their favorites. But the really interesting space is the 1 in 4 basket ads that are coming from browsing behavior. So browsing the back to school store, or browsing the aisles, browsing the departments, etc., category or product pages. And that's really where we can turn ROAS, which is typically what we use to attach to a metric around success of retail media on .com, and start to educate customers in that messy middle of the consumer journey, the consideration. How do we educate around product? How do we educate around range? And that's increasingly where clients are coming to us and asking us interesting questions. We also know when that window for influence is. Now, this graph is showing a combination of traffic to Tesco.com and also when orders are fulfilled. And we see that the middle of the week, kind of the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, is when the traffic increases and customers are in exploration mode. They're consuming media, they're looking through, they're curating their baskets, they're taking things out, and that's the moment when we can start to intervene in the journey and think about that purchase journey and what we need to be saying to win when they're in order mode, which is Sunday and Monday ahead of the week. And you could start to think about the different types of metrics and evaluation strategies that you put in place to coincide with those consumer needs. So that's the insight, behaviourally, attitudinally, preference-wise. Now, when we think about the media landscape and the fragmentation, and you saw all those different partnerships that Tesco have brought in recent years, as have many other retailers as well, but how do we use Tesco's creative canvas to deliver against these customer needs? And that brings us to our second key ingredient, which is scale, which we're going to bang on about a lot today. But there are millions of omni-channel journeys that we can shape every week through point of sale plus, online and offline blended shopping. And when we think about the strategy of customer journeys, it's no surprise to anybody who has a smartphone in their wallet, in their pocket, sorry, wrong noun. When they're on their couch or when they're on the move or when they're close to point of sale, that device can carry a different purpose along that journey. So when they're at home and they're thinking about curating those baskets, ITVX and our recent announcement about Channel 4 might be an option of taking Clubcard segments and refining and sharpening your media plan. And as you move further along the journey, you might start to think about different value proposition messages or frequency strategies that we can build into the channel mix. And of course, the bread and butter for Tesco, the connected store, which is increasingly digitized, is where we can really bring some of that goodwill and intent and brand consideration to life so that there's a really seamless, clear journey online to offline across the shopper journey. So we thought we'd bring this to life through an example. Many categories at the moment are experiencing heavy down trade, moving out of brands and into own label. And cereal is a category that is experiencing that and is also having to go through massive reformulation efforts around HFSS. So we were tasked by Kellogg's, a brand that had, a reasonably modest budget for this particular campaign, and it was all about repertoire. They went back to their loyalists, they did some proper customer diagnostics and research to understand what are the behaviors that are going to make the difference when they're trying to promote their brands and their repertoire. And they come up with this idea, what's your Kellogg's combo? And I'm trying to work out, thinking about rugby at the moment, whether this is a no-look pass or a no-look catch. But in essence, the behavior was that customers enjoy mixing their cereals together. And that's a heavy loyalist behavior that they've taken and they've applied to a retail marketing strategy. The consumer habit of cereal mixing and trying to keep cereal relevant as breakfast habits change. And this was a brilliant way for us to be challenged around how we can drive commercial value for the client, but also for the brand themselves as they develop their repertoire within Tesco. So going back to the shopper journey, pre-shop, we took some Clubcard segments, Kellogg's lapsers, as well as competitor buyers, and a custom audience around schoolgoers, and we projected that through a massive opportunity off-site, through Instagram, taking that brand value proposition, taking different messages and animating it into a way that would reach customers outside of the Tesco ecosystem, off-site, where there is massive opportunity, and thinking about how that value proposition of ease, value, and stress reduction is filtering through in the messaging. We then looked at which stores across the country were featuring heavily and where the largest share of sales were and where there was headroom to grow potential sales. And JCD screens took that value proposition and took it closer to point of sale. And then for the performance marketers, it was all about thinking about at the physical and the digital shelf, how can we convert on that? Make it about price and the value of the Clubcard, but also bring those brand codes of the repertoire right through to the final stage of the journey. And you can see here the success of this campaign, which is ongoing at the moment through some traditional couponing, as it were. I know we're at a digital conference, but we were able to reach nearly 10 million customers, increase the base of new customers by 12%. Crucially, that consideration metric of aisle visits, 12% increase there. And also that repertoire effect of building the featured product sales off a base, as well as driving repeat purchase rate too for loyalists. So, one campaign, very well integrated and very well planned. But how do we start to measure business impact over time? I love that picture. It just makes me feel really, really happy. The third ingredient in our lunchbox is lifetime effectiveness. It's probably one of the most mysterious phrases that is used a lot in our industry, but we believe that when you work with us, you will get a range of media outputs, media metrics, as well as customer engagement metrics to understand who's new to brand, who's existing, what type of repertoire or basket composition is being fulfilled, and ultimately pulling that through into some of those more performance-related metrics around volume, units sold, average order value, as well as the performance metrics around brand and product ROAS. But really it's at that top right, that right side, the share of market growth within Tesco, as well as brand health and lifetime value, that we're really being asked to stretch ourselves. So, a few numbers for you to take in. We're on the home straight before the break, I promise you. If you take a humble yogurt, which is a feature in many lunchboxes, it has an average purchase cycle of about 20 days. We've calculated that after the first visit to a brand, 60% of customers are falling out of that journey. So how can brands re-engage that particular customer, back into an optimal number of brand visits. We've calculated that at 4 for yogurt brands. Once they reach their 4 visits to a brand, they're with that brand for 524 days, which in a relatively low margin segment, excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cold, is about £8 increase on the lifetime value, incremental, by just bringing that consumer back into the brand up to 4 times. We compare that to something like squash, which has a slightly longer purchase cycle, 52 days. That is 6 days, 6 visits to the brand that gets an optimal customer through the journey, taking them to 1,300 days, which over the course of that journey, and you think about the product purchase cycle, gets that particular customer to £39 increment. And that links the customer and category dynamics into questions of what does it mean for marketing? There are lots and lots of interesting spaces in the tech space at the moment that takes us into vertical rabbit holes, but really there is no change here. This is about investment and measurement and strategy across 2 concurrent speeds of growth. Priming new to brand customers, bringing them into a brand, but also customers that are returning in that sweet spot to maximize the survival curve and increase lifetime value over the long term. So bringing this all together, if you take one thing away from us today, it is to experiment with this formula. This is a formula that many businesses will pull together when they're doing their media planning, thinking about sources of growth, size of the audience, how many people are in that audience, who are our current and future customers. Multiply that by the value proposition, the core message that is going to make the difference when you're trying to justify that price premium. Think about the channels across sofa to store. Crucially, where and when are people exploring and buying, and how often? It will vary by category and by audience segment. And then lastly, when that's brought together through the power of the Clubcard, those 21 million households, you will end up with a really successful story. So we're going to close the lid on the lunchbox there. We're on the home straight to the break. Let's wrap up.
Cheers. Thank you, Ed. So just finally from us, we believe that Tesco Media presents the opportunity to bridge brand metrics with that of performance and help you with your implementation or planning. So just to recap those 3 ingredients again, we're talking about insight. So you're looking at our ability to understand customers at a granular level. Of course, we can influence price, promotion, but also sentiment. How is the nation feeling? How do we tap into those emotions during that period? Let's look at scale. We've spoken about this at large, but genuinely, we have the largest share within the grocery sector, and we have the ability to talk at top of funnel and all the way through to conversion in store. And finally, measurement. Whilst marketing budgets are being squeezed, we have the ability to talk about ROAS, or your return on investment, your standard metrics, but again, brand building, which is underpinned by the success of the performance. So, a couple of areas in which you can partner with us: upcoming seasonal events, cultural events, whether that's Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Easter. But what we find is in your traditional digital sense, where you have your underpinning strategy, your search strategy, which is always on, you have the ability to do so within the retail media ecosystem as well. But then taking or uptaking some of these promotional and seasonal and cultural events at Valentine's Day, and those spikes within the calendar that you can optimize and own as a brand, and own those moments within the calendar. We therefore urge you to come and speak to us at our stand in the exhibition, where you can have a play with our Scan As You Shop. So that's SAYS, our Scan As You Shop handheld devices. We were the first retailer to go to market with this globally in terms of the media proposition. So for those of you that are not aware, that's the handheld devices that you see in store when you're going around the shop. You log in with your Clubcard, you're scanning your items, so we know exactly who's who. Think about future iterations of this. Your ability to geo-target within store, who's on what aisle, and as a brand being able to upsell, cross-sell. If you buy vodka, being able to cross-sell, I don't know, a Red Bull, for instance. But the capabilities are endless, especially as we continue to digitize the in-store environment. Please come and have a chat with us. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you all, and have a good rest of the day.